Welcome to the executive summary session for the coming fiscal year. I am Abhishek Bhattacharya, manager of ABC General Hospital, trying to summarize our preparation for the next fiscal year. At first, I want to focus on this budget report consists of 6 parts where several pros and cons of the bottom line of the budgets with different benchmarking of the health service delivery of coming fiscal year for ABC General Hospital has been recognized. Our new business manager, Mrs. Smith, prepared budget on the basis of last year's business portfolio of the hospital, where she could able to show that 900k AUD as surplus or deficit. Here she changed the total number of patients in different DRGs and average length of stay according to the assumptions. So here there are several individual scenario of the different DRGs where we can see that chest pain showed the maximum deficits. After discussing the budget with the clinical director of the division, Mrs. Smith was advised to change the patient activity for years 0% to 4%. And after updating that, we can find the scenario here that the bottom line was decreased from 900k to 62k. But bottom line has several severe impact in case of 4% patient activity. But still though, as the clinical director is instructing the practical oriented thing, so it is more acceptable from the previous budget. Now, afterwards, the Central Health Department instructed to reduce the NEP 5% to 10% for the forthcoming year in order to meet the budget cutbacks. Accordingly, the finance director advised the test both level funding cuts in case of 5% NEP reduction and in case of 10% NEP reduction. So we have got that the 2 million Australian dollar in case of 5%, 4% activity with 5% reduction of NEP and 6.6 million Australian dollar in case of 4% activity and 10% reduction of NEP. So, Mrs. Smith can give some advice to the clinical director like benchmarking of the cost of different service deliveries of the hospital to be more cautious to reducing the average length of stay, as hurried discharge may cause the early readmission and due to the complications. Besides, continuous training and development of both finance and clinical workforce might be introduced throughout the year to prepare a more practical oriented budget. In such a condition, Mrs. Smith tried to reduce the daily cost of stay and tested it, creating a series of budget from 1% to 10%. Here she tested it against the 5% reduction of NEP with 4% patient activity level and also only 4% patient activity level. So we can see here that the 1% to 4% reduction of cost causes significant deficit in case of 4% activity level with 5% NEP. But after that it causes a gradual increase of the surplus, and it is less than the $500,000. But in case of only 4% activity level, it started from the more than $1 million. All the things gradually, all the ways gradually increased the surplus. So it is maximum is the more than $2 million. The change process that will be led by the director might be unable him to engage a reform various staff. To acknowledge this problem, I tried to rationalize the number of different service deliveries and prepared a budget. Here I have shown the rationalization of the different numbers of the service deliveries, but the cost become the constant. After that, we have found that before benchmarking, the bottom line of DRG F74Z, F73B, F76B, and L63B showed significant deficit. In other cases, each showed much surplus. After benchmarking, the deficit of the DRGs were slightly increased, where the surplus areas of the DRGs were significantly increased except F42B, where slight increase was observed. As budget preparation is second order change, the Director of Finance should be more careful regarding involvement of operational team to budget preparation as well as addressing the clinical procedural knowledge shortage of finance team. He can arrange the monthly review meeting and he can train the people throughout the world, throughout the year. So we can get a more practical oriented budget. I wish every success of the hospital. Thank you.